Hey, hi everybody! Another episode of G Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert, here on June, I think it's the 17th, 2020. This little contraption that I showed in one of the prior videos, I want to clear things up. I did not invent this. This is a kit that I got from a neighbor, and I put it together. It's called a Stirling engine, Stirling. Okay, and there's a few different variances of this, so you might want to Google Stirling engines and look at the different ones that they have. It's pretty cool. But yeah, this thing they claim works on a um, uh, expansion and contraction of air. Well, that's a fancy way of saying hot air makes the balloon rise, cold air makes the balloon sink. Hot air expands, cold air contracts. Okay, so that's all this thing is, and I don't have it set up to run. But actually, in cooler temperature areas, you can hold this thing in the palm of your hand to heat up the bottom plate enough to get this thing working. So you might want to look into that, see if you can order one online. You have to assemble these. You have to put them together, so you need a little bit of mechanical ability to put them together. There's a lot of little tiny screws, and they all use a number 1 size Phillips screwdriver. There's a lot of these little tiny screws, and their instructions, if you actually read the instructions one step at a time, follow that step, and then move on to the next step, you'll get through this thing without a problem. But yeah, there's different ones that they make. This is I think the alpha model. They have a beta and a gamma and all that kind of stuff. But they even have one that works on magnetism. So you might want to look that up on the internet and see if you can find something to go along with that. All right, let's move on and head outside. The winds have just started picking up. I'm not going to put my microphone on with the cover, so I hope you can still hear me. The winds have died down all day today. There was a little breeze this morning, but other than that, pretty nice. Yeah, my shoes are out here because I ran them through the laundry. Got those cleaned. I had laundry on the dryer out here. Everything is all put away, folded, ready for tomorrow, because tomorrow is water delivery time. So the tanks are all empty, and I've done water transfer down from the main water tank, and there's still plenty of water left in there for me. But like I said, these 2 barrels on the mash shower, the outdoor shower, those can also be connected by just flipping one valve lever, and I'll have 40 gallons of water inside of the cabin if I need it for emergency. But up there there's still probably 250 gallons or so left, and I'll be transferring more of that out tomorrow, because these barrels, these rain harvesting barrels that come off the gutters, I've been using water off of those, so they're probably down to about 1/3 full, and I'll top those off tomorrow morning before the water delivery gets here, and have all my irrigation water filled up with the old water from the tank, and the new water will go in, and that'll be what'll be feeding my cabin for the next bunch of months. Now remember, last time I had a delivery of water here was October 3rd, 2019. So I've gone quite a few months on that water delivery that I had, but I also had rain harvesting, rain catchment in these containers that helped keep the garden filled. So what I did was I transferred water down to that white barrel, blue barrel, and all 3 of those blue barrels, so that they're all topped off right now. That black bucket is still full. That yellow bucket down there is still full. And after I transfer the rest of the water out of the tank tomorrow to fill that barrel and that barrel back up again to the top, because I'm using those to water my mulberry trees, I probably will have very little water left in my tank. So I'm hoping that I'm going to take mostly everything that they bring out in the water truck. All right, so I had a question about the mulberry trees and how they're doing, and we're going to head out here and show you. I did soak them down again today, so you'll see that the ground is darker around the base of them. So yeah, they're doing just fine. They're probably setting roots about now, but it takes a little while for them to reach out their roots and get them deeper. Now I want to mention one thing, is because we had a really wet year this year, the desert bushes themselves are still green, and they're popping with flower seeds that are going to bust off in the wind and move around and plant more plants. The whole desert out here is really nice and green, and that's going to be a good thing, because if I can get those mulberry trees to set roots this year, look at how green this bush is. And this is not anywhere where I water or anything like that. So these bushes are really green. If I can get these things to set root and really start growing, they'll do the same thing as these bushes and dig down deep and get down to the water table, and they'll just take off. And then when I get a 60-foot tree out here, I'll have some nice shade shading my chicken coop. So I've been working around the yard and cleaning things up. I'm going to try to get through this so I don't run too long on this video. But I wanted to show you that stuff. Yesterday I made banana nut bread, and I made a full loaf size that you would usually see in a bread pan. Well, that's more than I can eat before it goes bad. So my neighbor came down today, and I sent half a loaf back with him so he and his wife can enjoy that. And I wanted to make sure I got that covered. Okay, another thing I did today. Laundry sink installed, up and running. Okay, now I got a bucket down there right now for collecting the water that comes off of the faucet, so that I can reuse that water for watering plants. And it is just connected right now to a second garden hose type connection on a Y connector down here off of the garden hose connection, off my shark bite connector. And yeah, there's some water around here on the ground. That's because I did run some water out while I was doing all of this. I cleaned it, cleaned all the lines and that stuff. Now, I had this old faucet head here that had no handle to it. And finding handles for these things nowadays is a ridiculous thing. So what I did was I made a handle. I had an old lever handle from a ball valve, and I took a nut and I drilled out the center so it would fit over the squared off top of the valve, and I welded that on to the lever handle. Then I drilled and tapped the side so it was a screw would fit in there. And this is actually a ground screw from an electrical box. And I tapped it for the same thread so I could tighten that in, and it would set on the flat side of the shaft coming out. So I have water. Pretty cool, huh? So now I have an outdoor sink here, and I put a bottle of antibacterial soap out here. It's taped up because it had a leak in the top, but I'll pull the tape off, and I'll have that so I can wash my hands outside before I go in and touch all kinds of stuff inside. Now there's an extra hole here because these sinks are designed for a 4-inch faucet. So what I'll do is I'll pick up one of those plates that cover the extra hole, or I was looking around, I actually have somewhere, I have a pump soap valve that has a bottle that fits underneath, and I can put a soap valve in there. So all I have to do is give it a couple of pumps with my hand underneath it, get a couple of squirts of soap on there, wash my hands. And yeah, there's no sink basket down there. Don't need one. Right now I don't need one. But in the future, I will have a drain line coming out of there that comes off of the wash machine inside, the clothes washer. And that will be tunneled underneath, go around the cabin and tie into the gray water drain line that runs to my gray water pit. So all of this water from here and all of that water from my washing machine will all go to the gray water pit. That's down the line. Not important. Remember, functional before pretty. Get it working and then make it pretty later. That's the whole secret behind this thing. All right. So I got all of that done. Today, I like I said, I transferred water all over the place. Got the sink faucet done. Showed you about the Stirling engine. Told you about my banana nut bread. No need going in your show because all I got left is 3 slices after I ate some last night and gave the rest to my neighbor. I kept 3 slices for myself. And when that stuff starts, it's really moist. So it's delicious as it is. But if it starts drying out a little bit, you don't throw that stuff out. Spread a little butter on it. Get a nice pan, nice and hot on the stove. Drop it on there and grill one side of it until it's golden brown. And with that butter and the butter steam going up through that banana nut bread, oh my God, that is delicious. Great little after breakfast snack. But those of you who are watching your calories, you may not want to do that. The reason I do banana bread, I'm going to close with this one, is because banana bread actually is real easy to make. You don't need any mixing machines or anything like that. Everything is stirred by hand, and it's really simple. I mean, when you put the flour and the baking soda and the baking powder together in one bowl, you just stir it up to mix them together. Okay, no energy involved. You take the browned or black bananas, you put them in another bowl with a little bit of cinnamon, and you crush those together and mix them up. And you take the brown sugar. Some people use pure cane sugar. I like brown sugar. Brown sugar makes it a little bit more flavorful. So I put the brown sugar. It calls for 1 cup, so you compact that 1 cup. Not like granulated where you just measure 1 cup. Okay, so you mix that with the eggs and that in another bowl. Put it all together and just stir it up until the flour disappears. Put it into a butter bread pan, 325 preheated oven, and cook it for about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. That's all there is to it. Real easy stuff. I'll be getting into cooking shows down the line, and I'll show you some of the things that I do. But hey, take notes. G-Bear reminding you, give me a thumbs up down there, please. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with friends, family, and even your enemies. G-Bear signing off.